at least early.
It's always interesting to see. I generally divide a lot of the characters in this game into one of two categories of either first half of the draft pickable or second half of the draft pickable. As in, the ones in the first half that are pickable can still be picked in the second half, of course. But there are plenty of characters that I just don't think there is good reason, in the vast majority of cases, to pick them before that third ban comes out in the competitive setting. And I think that if you're talking about those kinds of characters, the very first names that come to mind for me are Ana. This next one might be spicy. Leoric, because I know I've seen Oxygen early picking Leoric lately again.
Nope. Nope. You can't pick her. You can't early pick Leoric. It's not okay.
I believe it happened. Am I wrong in that it happened yesterday in Masters Clash as well?
Didn't like that draft. We won with it for the record, but in both cases. But I didn't. Well, actually, in one case. The other case we lost, but I didn't like it on either time.
Okay.
But I'm not. It's not like I drafted the team. I'm just there to support them, make their ambitions as close to reality as possible.
For sure. I'm personally of the opinion that Ana, Leoric, and Tracer don't have a ton of need to be picked in the early halves of the draft. These are heroes that tend to punish certain styles of play and be open to being punished in other ways. Whereas you have a lot of really strong openers that are just going to be good regardless of what the draft ends up shaking out to be, except for some extreme countering. And there is a Hogger picked up by Gunner right there. Cav, I expect at least a pinch of flame this game. You know, let's keep it a little spicy.
We'll see. I mean, Gunner's Hogger has actually improved quite a bit. He keeps stealing my angles, so you know what are you gonna do? He actually had a pretty decent angle the other day where he was mid on Infernal Shrines, and there's actually a bounce you can do around the well that will pretty much zone anyone who's trying to tap. And he actually nailed it. He got it really nicely. And then if it goes badly, it'll dump you either to the left or underneath the fort. And in both cases, as long as your team is covering for you, it's really easy for you to just walk out.
Ooh, hammer banned out right there. Not gonna allow the members of Three-Legged Cat to play it here from Inting for Ruby.
I don't think I've seen hammer banned versus any team but Oxygen. What is this?
Breaking the trends a little bit right here. Now, Malfurion and Garrosh picked up for the members of Three-Legged Cat. I am intrigued by that hammer ban as well, Kev. I will admit, I don't think of Battlefield of Eternity as being a particularly strong hammer map. I think that the amount of fog of war, bushes, corners makes it easier to reach onto a hammer. The lack of mobility could be a problem. Okay.
Hammer OP. That's an ETC.
That's an ETC in the year 2022. ETC main tank coming out from Fish. You seem puzzled, Kev.
ETC is really, really fragile, especially versus any kind of CC burst comp. And they're already looking at Garrosh, Malfurion, Li Ming. I think the logic here is that it can keep Garrosh away from his team with the boop. And they should win the poke war with the Hanzo Lunara, and they should be able to have a little bit better mobility on the side lane with the Hogger versus Blaze matchup. But this puts an enormous burden of execution on the ETC player, because if he makes any mistakes ever, he will just get popped. There's nothing that's going to save him from dying.
Well, on the bright side, Cav, at least once the ETC gets popped, it's not like he's against a Li Ming who can use that to reset on the rest of his team.
Yeah, it's one thing to just die. Like, it's one thing to have high execution and then there's a risk you just die, but it's also a different thing to like be into a reset comp and then someone else in your team may also die as a result. Like, this is spooky. I have no other word for it. This is just spooky.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out right here with this ETC. I am similarly skeptical as you, but I also feel that the lack of ETC that I see in my games means that maybe there's just some element to it that I'm not accounting for here as we are ready to get into the game. Three-Legged Cat on the left side of your screen here. We're going to have Menaldor playing that Blaze. Hiraeth, that is still my best guess on that Sylvanas. Loving that Mount Skin Skinnergy right there. Johan Ayaya on the Garrosh. Drakir playing Li Ming. And Captain Rex going to bring it to us on that Malfurion. Who do we got on the right side for Inting for Ruby, Cav?
On the right-hand side, we have Fish 777 on the ETC, and hopefully he doesn't die 7 times. Hopefully it's not a precursor.
It's 777 times.
Well, I'm just 7 times. Mindhawk on Lunara, Nox on Anduin, Hat on Hanzo, and top side we will have Gunner 30k on Hogger. Just chilling behind his gate because he doesn't know where the enemy team is. They could be cheesing with the Sylvanas. I really want to see someone cheese mid with Sylvanas at some point on this map. Just go get those mid towers. They're worth actually a pretty significant amount of experience.
I feel that you maybe couldn't do it level 1, and I'm not sure really when in the game you could pull it off safely because it is fairly deep in enemy territory. Regardless, Fish tanking the Arcane Orb right there will get tossed right on in and slide out directly into some roots, on the other hand, necessitating a very early leap of faith. And I feel like we're going to see some more of that as the game goes on. That interaction, ETC getting tossed and slid all over the place. Ooh, almost face checks directly into the hands of Johan Ayaya. We'll get dismounted, but that's A-okay. And already, this is a quick start of this camp from Three-Legged Cat in the neutral 4-on-4.
Yeah, Hogger doesn't look like he'll be able to have crowd. In fact, he doesn't look like either of them, one of them's rotating at all. So, yeah. You can't really fight Garrosh on points because he can just chuck you off, which means you need someone who can sub on the point for your tank. But like Anduin's not going to walk on the point, Lunara's not going to walk on the point, Hanzo's not going to walk on the point. So as soon as they realized they were losing that camp, they actually really needed to send someone top so that they could at least get one of the 2 camps out. You don't want to trade like this. And what? Fish? Hello? Okay. Alrighty. Fish apparently is going to live by going up. I think he could have just... he was trying to dodge the root, right? He was trying to deny the same thing that happened to him last time where he slid directly out, but that was spooky.
Gunner here on the scene looks for the Loot Horde stun combo on a Johan Ayaya, but when he doesn't find it, very quickly starts packing his bags and heading back up to that top lane. Bruiser camps, both teams going to start looking at them relatively soon as they get ready to prepare for this first Immortal of the game. Gunner and Metal Door, not too much happening here in the top lane right there. No scuffles, no first bloods, no taking of the camp, no kills at all in this game, but that's sure to change with the first objective.
I mean, Blade's got half a tower, but other than that, not a lot happening top.
Oh, half of each tower is actually worth noting right there. And of course, if Blaze is pushed in, the ability to pressure that structure with Crossfire is not negligible. It does do a significant amount of damage. Now Inting for Ruby taking their Bruiser camp. And this feels a little too early on the side of Three-Legged Cat. However, they are sieging with the Sylvanas. Fish now sliding in onto the scene. Ooh, gets a big amount of damage onto Hiraeth. Not able to finish it off. Triple Arcade Orb from Drakir on the other hand, though. Big return damage. And here's Gunner. Hold up a second. Gunner thrown in towards multiple members of Three-Legged Cat, but there's Nox yanking him right back on out as soon as he got in danger. Fish dropping very, very low, as is Mindhawk. Wow! How did so many different members of IFR get so close to getting finished? But of course, there it is. There's Hat going down over on the side lane. It felt like every single person on IFR was like, okay, guys, it's my turn to get low. Now it's your turn to get low. Now it's my turn to get low.
I mean, that is frequently what you have to do into a Li Ming cop, though. If someone's low, you got to start body blocking all the shots from Li Ming so that they don't die, so that resets don't happen. And then that, of course, results in you getting low, and Fish just have to slide out. See, how many defensive slides have we seen in this game? This is the other reason that the ETC was very suspicious to me, is if you have to slide defensively constantly, if you have to use your engage purely as a defensive tool, that's not ideal, to say the least.
Yep, slide, you love to use it to set up the kills when possible here. A very healthy lead on the Immortal race from the members of Three-Legged Cat right here. Almost done taking down Inting for Ruby's Belith, I believe is his name. Belith and Ilarion are the two. And now an early top lane Immortal for the members of Three-Legged Cat as Fish forced to use yet another defensive slide. Mindhawk chipping in damage on the side lane. Johan Ayaya's in there. Mindhawk gonna go over towards top. Still, actually, okay, 5 members getting ready to defend top lane. What's up?
I saw ETC going bottom there, but it looks like he was just zoning for Mindhawk. I was wondering if we were going to see a lane swap now that ETC has a little bit more wave clear, which is something you do occasionally see when you have a tankier offlaner, and then it's a telegraph that ETC is going to go stage dive, but looks like we're not going to see it. It was just a zoning rotate. And again, with the boop, trying to deny, knock everyone away. But yeah, it's theoretically at 10, they should win the poke war with Vines, but this early game has been very rough for Inting for Ruby.
Fish sliding in aggressively on Johan Ayaya, but gets tossed right back on out as soon as it happens. And I believe if you're sliding directly at a Garrosh, can he throw you back out without getting stunned, Kev?
It is possible. Is
that one of those land plays where it's a little bit harder?
It does require low ping. But these are, of course, all EU players playing on EU, so it's a little bit easier. You can actually do it with Blaze Stun as well. It is possible, but it is quite difficult.
Indeed, indeed. And those, we saw our fair share of dashes and whatnot getting interrupted in our first series of the day that was co-commentated by Crushinator. Plenty of that to be had. This is a full 5-on-5 forming up here, and this bot side is knocked, getting absolutely deleted off of the flank by Menaldor, and the follow-up by Drakir. It's going to be a double kill onto the members of Inting for Ruby. Make it a triple from Three-Legged Cat, now securing a full level lead off of that bottom siege camp. Hat trying to chip in some siege damage, but he is low, and he's just going to get right on out of there. And look for the hearth. Johan Ayaya securing very aggro positioning, making sure no one will be allowed to flank nor rotate onto their teammates. And this is an easy second fort of the game achieved for Three-Legged Cat. Notably, this means that no matter what, the next immortal secured by Three-Legged Cat will pressure onto a keep. And now, Johan Ayaya getting chased by Gunner and Mindhawk tosses Gunner under the towers, but he's still in there. Fish and Menaldor watching each other's rotations. Johan Ayaya dropping very low, and the bot push continues, although they're going to start backing off now.
Yeah, that play over camp where Hogger was just spinning back and forth, creating essentially a little wall that makes it difficult for people to step up, that only really works when you have pummel. It doesn't work pre-pummel because it's not as spooky for heroes to step in because they can just kill you. Whereas pummel reduces their kill you potential by quite a lot. Bunker actually used aggressively here by Menaldor. Not going to get too much out of it, just slows the race down very slightly for Inting for Rubies.
An 8,000 immortal health lead for Three-Legged Cat as Inting for Ruby's forced to dip over to the side lane a bit. These are defensive immortal positions, so Three-Legged Cat forced to step up aggro. Still no level 10s achieved on the side of Inting for Ruby, however. No heroic talents as Cav is practicing his opera singing over there on the left side. What's happening, Cav? What's that in response to?
Fish knocked the Sylvanas out of the root. That Anduin root would have hit. But he wanted to get value out of his level 7 Pinball Wizard, which does damage when you W people after you Q them. He's going to die now, as he should, for that play. This is sort of the problem with Pinball Wizard. If you're going to go Pinball Wizard, your team actually needs to practice specifically aiming for where the person is going to be booped to, not for where the person is. Or you just can't hit the button, which means you basically don't have a level 7 talent. Like, those are literally your options. And it did not quite work out for them there.
Johan Ayaya able to get the toss onto Nux. Jet propulsion from Menaldor not going to connect as Bunker also utilized a little bit too far away from Garsh to buy him any safety, although he surely would have been a sitting duck if he sat inside it. Menaldor now content to go and try and finish off Had, but will get dropped. That is a quick double kill picked up by the members of Inting for Ruby, just in time to make this a significantly easier defense against this Immortal.
Yeah, they do lose the full Immortal, but like with Vine, we see Mindhawk clearing the way with Vines here. There's going to be no minions actually able to hit buildings with this, and they already have the shield down. The Immortal's going to go into the melee form. They might lose the gate, but they shouldn't lose too much more. As I say that, of course, proving me wrong, still pushing bottom. And maybe, oh no, that Hortipult was not good. They're trying to do the Light Bomb Hortipult combo, but maybe Nox underestimating or overestimating the range of Hortipult there. Sylvanas was retreating to the bottom side, and they did not manage to get that to work. And as a result of even trying, they actually lost all of their keep walls.
Lost all their keep walls and guaranteed that 2 of their ults would go on cooldown. Call me crazy here, Cav, but I feel like as soon as Three-Legged Cat saw that those two ults were used, and they had 13 advantage, I feel like they could have invaded Bruisers. You have
They could have.
You have 5 ults to 3, you have 13 advantage, am I wrong?
No, I mean, they could run at it. That's something definitely like a Korean or a Chinese team would absolutely do, or where every time they have an advantage, they're always looking to push that advantage further by fighting. It looks like EU teams did tend to historically be a little bit more conservative. And so now, but this is weird, right? Now they're pushing when their advantage is they have a camp in the lane, but they're even on talents and they're even on cooldowns because Hortipult and Lipom with very short cooldowns.
Ooh, and that's a slide by Fish onto Drakir. Drakir able to teleport out of there before taking any significant damage. Will be A-okay. And as you said, the advantage was merely the presence of a camp. That camp has now been terminated. The members of Three-Legged Cat backing off. Inting for Ruby capturing their bruiser camp earlier, so they will not be able to get a bruiser camp leading into this objective, and I doubt they'll be able to invade as much as they look like they're forming up to do it, however. The members of Three-Legged Cat receiving this invade from Inting for Ruby. Hogger's not present, though.
Hogger is pretty far away. It looks like they do manage to slow the camp down a little bit. Hopefully they won't die here. The pull is forced to be used there. And then there's the anti-synergy. Like these light bombs, I feel like are happening in situations where Hogger is just straight up not in range, and that is a problem.
Nox used the desperate prayer and was a sitting duck for Johan Ayaya, who just sprinted after him to get the kill, and that is now 2 members of Inting for Ruby going down. Gunner also getting run down at the same time as Mindhawk. I'm trying not to miss any kills on the camera, but there's so much. The split pressure is so much. Okay. I kind of, we were panning away from the ETC as he died, but I'm doing my best, chat. And now Harayev already pushing on to this bottom keep wall with 3 members of Inting for Ruby dead and a massive minion wave. The push pressure is immense, but they're not going to stick around for core. Those death timers are a little bit too short for Inting for Ruby. Now Three-Legged Cat going to back off and be content with winning this immortal race, or at least getting some chip damage on it.
I mean, I imagine they'll get the entire thing at this point. Right, they'll get halftime right here. It will be another 5v5, but it's going to be down 16. Inting for Ruby is on desperate ground here. They actually do need to force a fight, either under the Immortal or behind the Immortal after they've lost it. Whichever one of those they think is going to be more likely to sort of win them the video game. And we are going to see. Are we going to see Hortipult work out for once? Oh, nice blow up on the Sylvanas.
Light Bomb and Hortipult are both still up. Hortipult just used it right there. Light Bomb still available. I'm a little bit surprised to not see it utilized right there, but Inting for Ruby has the 5v4 advantage despite being down level. So what?
Yeah.
Okay, Garrosh throwing the light bombed ETC at his teammate's same day delivery right there, as now Nox taking big damage, eats the full magic missiles, all 5 of them from Li Ming. Li Ming is not Seeker, which you occasionally see on Battlefield of Eternity, and they love just taking these super split fights. Gunner spinning right on out of there and right back in. Hold on a second. Gunner still Beyblading and finds himself in an unfortunate spot. I think maybe if he canceled that spin when he was over here, he might have been able to get out, but no, spins right back into the action. It's now 13 kills to 5 in favor of Three-Legged Cat at the moment, who get yet another healthy immortal. This time it will pressure top keep.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this game actually comes down to a strong lack of agreement about cooldown usage between teams, between team members of Inting for Ruby. Some people like using cooldowns without the synergy, or using cooldowns when the other person's on in actual range to utilize the effect. And you can't have that in High Level Heroes of the Storm. In High Level Heroes of the Storm, it's a very team-focused game, which means team has to be on the same page and using abilities in concert together, ideally. And we're just not
arrow came out.
Seeing that.
Yep, it has indeed been off as Ariath tanking the tower shot right there from the keep. This Immortal about to finish it off still has a lot of its shielding, and I feel like Arcane Orbs are just getting massive value every time I look. And there's another one hitting onto Gunner right there. Johan Ayaya taking some damage At this point, Three-Legged Cat wants to pressure the end, if at all possible. Fish this time, the recipient of the light bomb, slides onto Johan Ayaya, will be able to get the pick off right there. This Immortal still chipping down the core, though, and there's so much damage coming out. Fish 7-7 trying to use the mosh pit for the peel will get dropped by Horiath, and this is indeed game number 1 of Three-Legged Cat versus Inting for Ruby. After several kills and much ado, we'll finally go over to the members of Three-Legged Cat. Well done.
I still kind of like the idea of the ETC, but yeah. Drafting a comp that requires someone to execute perfectly with no margin for error is a really big ask. Generally speaking, you can say in a lot of cases for competitive HOTS, you've won the draft when your comp is easier to execute and not that your comp is necessarily better.
Yeah, that is ease of execution. I think at minimum is relevant at anything below HGC level, if not HGC level itself. I tell people this all the time. You know, you want to win SL games, you gotta be willing to play some boring heroes, all right? Because you are going to get such good results playing Jaina, for example. Very easy character, very high effectiveness, but relatively simple decision tree in overall. As we're looking at our talents right here, I'm looking and I don't see anything specifically super hard jump out to me. I do notice Menaldor picking the suppressive fire rather than nanomachine coding. I don't understand that decision making into a Hanzo Lunara. Is it just that he thinks that his oils are going to not go onto the DPS and they're just going to be on the front line? What's impacting this decision making?
I mean, a lot of Lunara's, like, Lunara is not a good auto attacker. Her auto attacks are pretty average, which is balanced out by her trait adding damage to every auto by putting it on people. And Hanzo, of course, is a very good auto attacker. He has some of the chonkiest autos in the game. But if you don't think you're going to be able to oil the Hanzo, then on average, Suppressive Fire is going to do a lot more of that game. It's going to do more into Hogger. It's going to do more into Lunara, because, of course, a lot of her damage is from her trait. It's even going to do more into the Pinball Wizard of ETC. So, you know, nanomachine coding is not always the pick. You really have to ask yourself, can I get this onto the heroes that are going to do the most damage from auto attacking? What kind of comp do they have? There's even games where Fuel Leak is not exactly terrible.
Okay, the other competitor at level 7, Fuel Leak, I'd be interested to hear about the specific situations that would cause it to be better simultaneously than Suppressive Fire and Nanomachine Coding. But we're looking here at game number 2 of Three-Legged Cat versus Inting for Ruby. Of course, before either team picked any maps, Sky Temple and Towers of Doom were banned out by Three-Legged Cat and Inting for Ruby, respectively. Game 1, we played on Battlefield of Eternity. Game 2 is Inting for Ruby's map pick, giving first pick over to Three-Legged Cat, and we are going to take it into Infernal Shrines. Definitely a personal favorite for me. And I am excited to see what the teams pull out here. Oh, and the draft already getting started. Let's get right into it, folks.
I'm kind of hoping for some cheese.
Always hoping for some cheese. You know, as
give me like 4-man diva so they can bomb the shrine.
I personally, as a player and especially as a competitor, absolutely despise playing on Braxis Holdout. As a caster, give me that Braxis. Let me watch that Braxis. Give me a bit of the variety. We see Kerrigan being banned out. Classic Kerrigan map on Shrines. And what's driving this WoW from you, Kev?
Well, those are just the two things that Inting for Rubies actually has a positive win rate on in Masters Clash, I think, is just Uther and Kerrigan. So the approach is just ban them both. It's somewhat respectful, right? It's like, we know you are really good at these heroes, so we're banning them. But it's also like, we've just left everything that's OP up, but you probably suck at that stuff. So it's kind of disrespectful.
No. I've talked a lot about this specific topic on my stream in particular, Kev, is how much of a target ban is respect versus disrespect? Because it can be, like you said, it can be, oh, I recognize you're really good on this thing, I can't let you play it. But it can also be, at the same time, a target ban can also be, I think that you're trash when you don't play this character. And I have been on the recipient of both different styles of that kind of ban right there. And I'm seeing a donation, a tip. I want to say Narate. I know I'm ruining it. I am so sorry, but thank you for that 1337. They say, thank you for providing an enjoyable and smart stream of Master Splash. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you, and thank you for the tip.
That's a Leoric picked into a Tychus. Okay, any rubies? I need you guys to win this so that people stop doing this. Because I love Leoric as a hero. Leoric is like one of my third highest played heroes. More than that, since you can't the in-game counter doesn't count customs. But I need people to stop picking him in situations where he's bad. Please, God, I have to deal with it enough. In oxygen drafts, I don't need it here too.
We're seeing so many early Leorics. It feels like MC players a little bit more inclined to not think of Leoric as being as hard counterable as Cav and I might see it. I feel the results generally have been a mixed bag for these early Leoric picks. If anything, I think they've been mostly negative, but we will see how it shapes out right here. There's always the potential for Hat on that Tychus to go up and lane swap versus Leoric. There's always the potential for just abuse in the team fights themselves. Fully expect to see an Odin as always. Let's see right here. You are suggesting that you are a one-trick? No, I said that I get target bans, okay? And that other people think I'm a one-trick, all right? I could make an account today that's called No Tracer, and I could get it to Grandmaster no problem, all right? I'm telling you right now, I never picked Tracer a single time. Easy Grandmaster for you, boy. As we see Muradin and Anduin picked up on the side of Inting for Ruby. And I gotta say, Kev, for a team called Inting for Ruby, they don't pick a lot of Deckard.
No, the team name is based around the idea that the enemy team goes Deckard and then Ints to grab rubies, and you just kill them instead of letting them pick up the rubies.
That's really weird.
It's a joke, except it's not funny. So it's a highbrow joke, essentially.
Oh no!
Mephisto would smurf this entire draft with W build on shrines, but they're not going to pick it, and then I'm going to be very sad.
That's going to be the Ganjo himself picked up from Mindhawk. Kerrigan, not an option this game. And now we have our full drafts assembled for each team right here. Kev, just ignoring what we've seen in terms of gameplay, in terms of standings, anything like that, strictly just based off the draft, who would you give the edge to right here?
I mean, it's really a mixed bag. The single worst hero to play Malfurion into is Blaze, because you can't heal when people are in bunker. It's not possible. There's no one to hit with your W. Leoric versus Blaze is pretty neutral in the laning phase unless the Leoric outplays the matchup. They do have the Anduin to counter the Entomb. They have Johanna, however, with double blinds to counter a lot of what Tychus does. Genji can put a lot of pressure on both Vala and Hogger. You can intentionally get spun by Hogger as Genji and deflect all the damage. So like both drafts are kind of even overall, but Inting for Ruby's into their draft because they had an opportunity to just win it outright, and then they didn't ban Joe, who is the single best tank when they've early picked a Tychus, and then just didn't go Mephisto for some reason on shrines into a comp that it's really easy to win with Mephisto.
Pools are always going to be a relevant part of it.
I know they play Mephisto.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know exactly what the situation is with their pool situation. But for the members of Inting for Ruby, we have Mindhawk playing that Genji. Gunner going to be on Blaze. Fish 777 on that Muradin. Love the Heart Mountain. Nox on Anduin. And Hat rounding out the team on that Tychus. Who do we have for three-legged cat, Kev?
We have Johanna III on Johanna. Meneldor on Leoric. Captain Rex on Malfurion. Hira, I assume, on Hogger. And Drakir on Vala.
Alrighty, Hat stepping up aggressively, getting drained out for about half his HP though by Menaldor, who made out like a bandit in that situation. Now here, Mindhawk interfering with the rotation of the members of Three-Legged Cat as well. Double root from over the wall for Captain Rex right there. You'd love to see it. This is, of course, Emerald Dreams. As much as I want to see the broccoli in games, the Treant at level 1, I think that I am probably the biggest broccoli enjoyer out there, but of course it's very commonly going to be an Emerald Dreams pick. As this Genji gank on top lane feels a little poorly timed to me, as it's synced up with the camps, but we'll see if they can get the pick. Then that's huge. Mindhawk looking for the damage, but only able to drop Menaldor to about half, taking damage in the meantime. This is what I mean by this camp timing being a little poorly done, or the gank timing, is now by showing their hand top lane with that Genji, Inting for Ruby has just seeded over these two camps out of the triangle bot lane over to Three-Legged Cat, and this also means that their own camp is going to have the potential to be threatened by the members of Three-Legged Cat. Looks like 3LC not trying to go that aggro, maybe. Hold on, here it is.
Ideally, they would have had Tychus top there and Blaze actually anchoring mid, because the Tychus gives a far more problematic thing for the Leoric to deal with in lane, and then they would still have the lane advantage from the Blaze mid clear. But we're not seeing that lane swap, and without that lane swap, the Tychus doesn't do as much into the Leoric, because what Tychus does is punish Leoric in team fights a little bit, but he punishes him in lane far more.
Chastise connecting onto Drakir right here. This is 4 members of Inting for Ruby nearby, and to only 3 for Three-Legged Cat. But the well-placed Moonfire from Captain Rex scouting out Fish in the bush, preventing the kill pressure. Now both teams going to cycle over to their bruiser camps, as is always the case on Infernal Shrines. Menaldor getting a bit of mid-clear in the meantime. And so far, as always, fairly normal intro. I still think that Genji gank was a little questionable, but both teams very even overall in terms of experience, in terms of bruiser situation. Mindhawk just getting a little bit of a dance going with Menaldor right there, trying to get any chip damage that he can. Oh, Hariath not landing the stun. Bit of a surprise right there. Both teams forming up for objective number 1.
It looks like we're going to have Joe Blaze double soaking during the first objective, so Leoric Hogger will actually end up being the front line for this comp. That's an interesting decision. Joe doesn't really have an engage pre-10 anyway, and she doesn't have the best wave clear of those 3 heroes, but she arguably does the least in a full team fight currently. So I actually kind of like this decision, and Hogger is definitely the best hero on the... Hogger and Leo are definitely the 2 better heroes on the Shrine. So it is going to be Inting for Ruby's having to force onto the Shrine and get these heroes off of it in order to win it.
And now, so far, Inting for Ruby is being forced off successfully by the members of Three-Legged Cat. Hat stepping up, but a 20 Guardian lead in favor of 3LC. Johanna now also starting to rotate and make... Nope, never mind. The half rotate as they head back to mid lane. Fish 777 taking a significant chunk of damage from Hariath and friends in the meantime. Punisher is finished off very quickly before the 4-minute mark, so that wasn't even a full minute from the objective starting to it being fully captured for the members of 3LC, who start the push now.
Yeah, Inting for Ruby's just not putting people in the right spots. Hat, as their wave clear hero in the 4-man, needed to be clearing the waves so that they could play through the lane and get that camp out of the way so they can provide vision, but he was on the Shrine. And then Genji needed to be the one with his mobility harassing on the Shrine while Muradin was anchoring those bushes to make sure that all of that was safe for both players to be doing. And they're actually gonna lose the entire fort sort of as a result of the poor defense as well. Everything going wrong for Inting for Rubies right now.
Muradin getting caught by that frozen Punisher, able to provide an additional bit of CC to punish him right there. And now the members of Three-Legged Cat pushing down this middle gate. Oh, hold on, this is a very aggressive Leoric position from Menaldor. He's able to Wraith Walk right on out of there. And now we see some rotations over towards the bottom half of the map. Teams just looking now for these siege camps now that they've all respawned after objective number 1. This, a much more even trade this time around between these two teams, each taking their own siege camp, preventing either from getting a huge free advantage onto this bottom siege. But Three-Legged Cat is just going straight for it.
I'll be curious to see if Muradin just opts to YOLO the point here. He does have that option of jumping onto it. It's not too easy to punish him. They are going to get a nice Genji E. We're going to see a Hogger spin. Yeah, they're out. Any Rubies cannot win that point, unfortunately. They needed to get an insta blow up essentially, but then as soon as they don't get it, they clumped, and if a W hits more than one hero from Mouth, it heals for twice as much, or 3 times as much. I think we got at least one 3-man W right there, which bounced everyone's health pools back basically to full.
Yeah, Malf, if he's able to hit those clumps of heroes with the Moonfire, able to get so much extra damage, part of why the 16 talent that increases the size of your W, if I remember correctly, is a popular Malfurion 16 for increasing your potential healing output. I gotta say, I miss the days when Malfurion's W talents were about doing damage, baby! That was what I liked about him in the early days of HOTS, as Fish, walking directly into some CC, pops the Avatar, but gets popped yet again. Fish currently both of the deaths for Inting for Ruby in this game, dying under that top fort on the defense as well as under the bot fort defense. Now 2 forts already down for IFR, 7 minutes into the game. Mindhawk trying to bully Menaldor in this top lane.
Yeah, I don't know about the decision by Fish to go in right there. He was already low. He, of course, had Avatar, but it's not like you have an Ancestral or anything. You don't have a Rhaegar healer. Anduin's not going to bounce your health that much, so really risky to try to force that so incredibly hard, and obviously it didn't work out for him. We are going to see a little bit of a stabilization, I hope, here. Nice stun, but that is a Vala.
Oh, jet propulsion.
Multiple cleanses going on there.
Jet propulsion landed onto Drakir. Drakir received the falling sword right after, and that's a lot of heroes getting in the pillbox. Everybody filing on out of there now. A lot of ults on cooldown for both teams, but cooldown advantage in favor of IFR as they get big damage onto Menaldor right there, picking up IFR's first kill of the game. That's exactly what they wanted in the moment. Going to lead certainly to an advantage, and now they invade. The chase is on, up 5v4. Fish and a Gunner on the scene. Haraya taking big damage in the meantime. Gonna be forced to pop that spin. X-Strike delivering the light bomb. You can tell IFR likes that strat. They did something similar in the previous game. Mindhawk bullying Captain Rex in the meantime, but Drakir is on the scene and Leoric has respawned. So this is a full 5-on-5. And Inting for Ruby, they're dropping so low. This is not working out the way they wanted on the invade, and they actually end up losing Blaze in the meantime, spending multiple cooldowns. The only heroic available for any player is Commandeer Odin for that Tychus.
I really hope Inting for Ruby can clean this up. They're going for these kills, and in some cases they're even, they got the Leoric kill, but they're just clumping into the Mouth. They're not bunkering immediately. They didn't have bunker there, but they need to have bunker when they go for these kills so that they can bunker immediately after they blow up with their cooldown, so Mouth can get this reactive healing to prevent the pick. And then once the fight gets chaotic, they need to make sure they're calling targets and focusing on the same thing. They were very split there. And split damage is Mouth's wet dream. Like, if you're getting someone low but not killing them, Mouth can fix that. That's his ideal fight.
Yeah, Mouth loves to get that constant spread sustained damage in on teammates. It's the burst that he tends to lack answers to. It's just, if all of your damage is going in on one guy, there's not a ton he can do outside of hitting a really big multi-hit W, or maybe trying to put everybody to sleep with that Emerald Dreams. Even the ult's not great at preventing somebody from getting deleted. Inting for Ruby looking for level 13 here. Still don't have it as they defend this mid keep. Now Gunner forced to jet propulsion away from Menaldor, flanking on that side lane. And this isn't going to be quite a mid keep achieved for the members of 3LC, but some more siege damage, as now 13 achieved for Inting for Ruby.
I really feel like they should be able to win shrines a little bit harder than they're doing it. They can use the Tychus to zone off the Hogger and then transition him into the Odin, but it doesn't quite manage. I mean, obviously they were already dead, so it doesn't quite happen to be the same thing. Also, full E-build, not even full E-build, partial E-build coming out of Genji, actually, without... this is not what we've seen meta-wise. After the buffs, we've seen a lot of D at 1, and then a lot of Q at 4 with X-Strike, because it gives you more burst potential. I don't know if that's a... Oh!
Light Bomb Blade Dash on Genji as he goes in, hits multiple members of the backline for Three-Legged Cat, but not able to turn it into kills, as now Nox and Mindhawk trying to get out of here. Nox does not want to be the furthest in member of the team. Fish is trying to get out next. They will be the second to go down. A double kill for Three-Legged Cat, now immediately going to turn this into some push pressure right here. They don't have the minion wave prepped, but they don't need it. They're just going to walk up and start tanking this. Mindhawk Hearthing on the other side right there. I thought Johan might get lucky and get that interrupt over the wall with the flashlight, but no Luigi's Mansion shenanigans going down just quite yet as the push continues from the members of Three-Legged Cat, who now have more than a 2-level lead. A very long time period of level 16 advantage about to happen.
That was such a cool light bomb combo with the Genji Eing in and then X striking off his own stun, but he got greedy. He X striked 2 targets rather than putting all 3 slashes on one single target. And again, it's just they need to make sure that they're all on the same target, they can all reach the same target, and they just kill that target. And they're not doing that. And I really don't know why. It seems like they're having a little bit of a struggle today, just focusing the same target, which is generally the goal in competitive pots, is to have everyone be on the same thing, especially if you have a tank killing comp. You don't have to go deep in the backline. You can just kill the front line.
Yeah, focusing on hitting the same stuff as your teammates is one of those things that is really kind of something only competitive teaches you. I have met countless Heroes of the Storm players who effortlessly hit Grandmaster every single season. They know exactly how to do it. They can climb and ladder, and they can thrive in that chaotic environment. But the second they get into a situation where they need to not be chipping for free damage on someone in the sideline, but instead go in on the same person as their team, it can tend to be a bit of an adjustment period. Not necessarily saying that applies specifically to Inting for Ruby, just speaking specifically about how the game itself does not do a great job of teaching you the principles of target focus. That's not something that you're going to develop too well as a skill just from playing on ladder. Now 16 has been secured for Inting for Ruby. No talent advantage for either team here. Three-Legged Cat trying to set up on this objective. Gunner not able to land the jet propulsion. Both team 16 and a full Q build coming out from Tychus.
Oh, wow. I wonder if he's going to go to Q20. That's something we've seen in the Korean meta, actually, to counter heroes like Tracer, because it's really hard to stand there and auto-attack Tracer. But as I say that, we're going to see a huge jump in, but Light Bomb will get cleansed by the Falling Sword. Mindhawk with an enormous shield from his level 7 deflect talent. Everyone gets in the bunker. We're doing a pretty good amount of poke damage, and everyone might get out. No, Gunner gets wall stunned and body blocked. The pull comes in late. He does end up going down.
Captain Rex landing yet another root, and I gotta say, I feel like Captain Rex, I've just seen this over and over and over again, just hitting great roots. Hat barely able to avoid that attempted stun from Hariath. Mindhawk blade dashing in, finishes off Vala and makes it out. Wow, good pick off from Mindhawk right there to stagger the enemy team a bit. That's exactly what was needed. No 39 for the members of Three-Legged Cat. They just hurry up and finish off this objective. Now Fish and Captain Rex and Hariath trading a little bit in the way of hits. Fish gonna back off on out of there, and this is Hat pressuring with that Tychus overkill. Captain Rex losing a little bit of health, but Mindhawk's gonna back on out, and Three-Legged Cat has a fully healthy Punisher ready to push out this bot keep, and I think they're gonna pressure, I was gonna say maybe mid keep at the same time, but no, everything is on bot keep as Gunner gets entombed.
Now he will have Bunker available in 2 seconds. He can hit the button, hit the button, hit the button. Okay, Bunker, he should manage to walk away. He can go back to Hearth. They're guaranteed to lose this bottom keep now, unfortunately. The fact that they're having to use Bunker on cooldown defensively is an indication they may be taking fights a little too hard. They maybe shouldn't have been that far forward. The keep's going to die no matter what, and you can see that we're seeing the back off here, right? That the enemy team knew that there was just no chance they got more than that, and now they're going to be able to play for 20.
Yeah, but at this point, you just want to take every camp off the map if you are Three-Legged Cat, and you can utilize that level 20 advantage to push with these camps and try and take out an additional keep. I know this mid keep in particular is going to be what Three-Legged Cat has their eyes on, because they have 2 keeps here, they have 2 camps here in this lane, as well as 20 advantage. They want to open up the map as much as possible. Mental Door actually lands the Buried Alive onto Mindhawk, will force out a Leap of Faith. Leap of Faith, of course, a longer cooldown than Entomb, but Anduin does get 2 charges of it. And now level 20 push forming up here for the members of Three-Legged Cat.
I'm curious to see how much this clumping will continue to be a problem for the level 20 Falling Sword. I think John I took the level 20 for the CDR.
That is indeed level 20 Falling Sword.
Yeah, so with the triple bruiser, if Leoric and Hogger both decide to go in really hard, she probably won't get a full reset. We won't get the perma unstoppable, but it could easily get down to like 8 seconds, and 2 seconds of unstoppable, and then 8 seconds later you get another 2 seconds of unstoppable. But it's team wide and does damage and healing is still pretty OP.
Fish landed the Stormbolt onto Drakir, but not able to materialize that into any additional kills. At this point, Three-Legged Cat guaranteed finishes off that middle keep right there. 2 keep advantage, and they have yet to lose a single fort. The passive map pressure is going to be immense that Inting for Ruby will have to deal with as Fish face checks into Horiath, lands the wallbang and a shockwave into everything, even gets the jump with the root. The CC so on point from the members of Three-Legged Cat. Nobody is safe for the members of Inting for Ruby, on the other hand. No matter who you are, they can and will burst combo you down. Now 4v5 down level 20. Three-Legged Cat is going to step in here into Inting for Ruby's base. There's not much they can do, honestly. They're going to try to defend this, but they very likely are about to lose keep number 3.
Yeah, this is one of those things where if you're going to be aggressive like that, you need to make sure your team's behind you, and Nox was not quite in range. I believe he did have a pull charge, so he could have theoretically saved him, but Fish got a little bit too far ahead, and you got to be careful about things like that. When you're behind, you want to stop the bleeding, not progress the bleeding. And Blaze, a similar problem here, massively overextended bottom, trying to get his team 20. He's going to force them to chase him for a while, but there's just no realistic chance that he gets out of here.
Ryath now intercepting Gunnar on that rotation, does not land the stun. Oh! Horiath, don't do it to him like that, interrupting the jet propulsion. It's actually Mindhawk going to be the first one to die in that situation. And Blaze, despite the attempted save, will go down. That's a triple kill. 3 members of Inting for Ruby dead. Tychus and Muradin running on home, trying to get out of here. Wow, Captain Rex cannot miss with these entangling roots. Lands yet another one. Fish, the last surviving member of IFR, but not for long, as we saw right there. Three-Legged Cat finishing out this series 13 kills to 2, as this time they really do complete the sweep. Not like what I said before, where I said that the team that was I said that the team that lost won for some reason. And now a 2-0 in favor of Three-Legged Cat, completing the series sweep, getting 3 more points for their standings.
Wow. Inting for Ruby seemed like they were having a pretty rough day overall, just coordinating things, whereas the Three-Legged Cat were very on point. Everything was going on the same target. They were all backing up at the same time. In some cases, they were covering each other's retreats in both games. Really impressive showing, actually, out of Three-Legged Cat. I think that may be the best series I've seen them play so far in Masters Clash.
Well, Three-Legged Cat only 1 point going into this series, but of course, if you take a series 2-0, you gain 3 points, allowing them to push past Inting for Ruby, swapping their places. Once the points for this match go in, Inting for Ruby will slide down to number 8, and Three-Legged Cat going up to number 7. Let's take a look at that post-game scoreboard right here. We can slide on over to that. Interesting game for sure, and that's another auto-attack Leoric. I gotta say, I'm really enjoying all these auto-attack Leorics that I see in these games. I'm a big fan of the build right here. Cav, how do you feel about it in this game, though? What do you think this is what you would advise for your Leoric player out of the 3 main builds? What do you got?
Auto attack Leoric is, so if you need Entomb 20, if you really want Entomb 20, you should probably always be auto attack or damage reduction, just because if you're full W build, the level 20 W that gives you 40 armor and so much damage is just a far better capstone talent. So you go W build when you're punishing frontline. You go W build to punish a Johanna who has blinds, which makes it worse, to punish a Diablo, right, who can displace you so often that often it'll clip your autos, so your auto build ends up not being good as well. You go E build whenever you can actually reach the enemy team's damage. You can't reach a Genji. Damage reducing a Tychus isn't a thing, so E build would have been terrible here. Auto build is really good into Blaze, because there's not a lot Blaze can do to you except for the nanomachine coating. But, you know, if there's a lot of other heroes that Blaze is trying to put those oils on, or if you're just split from the Blaze and you're punishing the enemy team's tank instead, it can be a lot. However, they have the attack speed slow, right, on the Muradin as well. So either, no matter who he's hitting, it's a little difficult, but he got a lot of value out of it. They didn't seem to be able to consistently keep him slowed when he was hitting people.
Certainly a strong build. I think Spectral Leech is just insane. Leoric's auto attacks are already meaty, and then you factor in the additional extra 2.5% damage and the 5% self-heal. So massive from Leoric. It's just a personal favorite build of mine for sure. Looking at this as well, notably again the Q at 13 and 16 for Tychus with that hat. I would like to see what you spoke about before with that Q, even at level 20, allowing you to force off that Genji, that Tracer that hops in on you. Maybe not as effective into Zeratul, right? Because if Zeratul wormholes out or blinks out, then it cancels your Q if it has no targets in range.
I mean, that's true. I'm really surprised to see Q20. Like, it is Shrines, but Q20, but without the Q4? Like, that's bizarre.
Who are we speaking about here?
Genji.
Ah, okay. Genji. Sharpens stars. Now Shuriken pierce all enemies, hit swift strikes, refund, grants 1 charge of Shuriken, but no Shuriken mastery at level 4. You are indeed correct about that.
Yeah, that's really strange. I don't know what Mindhawk is thinking there. I might have to actually ask him about that.
Well, what I wonder, Cav, is I feel that they felt Living Weapon might not get a ton of value with how they were just clearly going to use it for blow-ups. I don't know. That's just one idea. Maybe it's just a personal preference thing, but yeah, definitely.
But it's the whole build, right? Like, why not? If you think Q at 20 is even an option, why not go Q at 4 to like really dial it in? Like, are you actually getting that much value out of the strike at the heart?
I am not 100% sure. Regardless, that completes series number 3. We do have our lobbies up for series number 4 here. I'm going to go ahead and hop us into that.